Ambassador Joshua Parker's hand trembled as he reached for the zipper of his trousers. The Vorta diplomat Yaris watched with wide, curious eyes, about to witness something that would change the course of interstellar relations forever. Moments earlier, the tense negotiations between humans and the Vorta on Nexus 7 space station had reached a breaking point. Earth desperately needed this trade agreement. The fate of humanity's expansion into the cosmos hung in the balance. "You claim your species can deliver on these promises," Yaris had said, voice dripping with skepticism. "But how can we trust beings so different from us?" Joshua knew he had to act. With Earth's future at stake, he made a bold decision. "There's something you need to see," he told the Vorta diplomat. "Something that sets humans apart from any species you've encountered." Now, in a private chamber far from prying eyes, Joshua revealed the secret hidden beneath his clothing. Yaris gasped, multifaceted eyes widening in shock. "By the founders," the Vorta breathed. What is that?" Joshua explained human reproductive anatomy, watching as fascination replaced Yaris's initial alarm. The genderless, clone-born Vorta had never imagined such biological diversity could exist. As Yaris peppered him with questions, Joshua's communicator chirped. An urgent message from Mars flashed across the screen. Earth's outpost had unearthed an artifact of staggering importance, ancient alien technology that could revolutionize faster-than-light travel. The catch? It would only function with human genetic material. Joshua's mind raced. This discovery could catapult humanity to the forefront of galactic civilization, but they needed the Vorta's manufacturing capabilities to harness the artifact's potential. He had to close this deal, now. Unbeknownst to Joshua, his impromptu anatomy lesson was already sending shockwaves through the Vorta delegation. Word spread like wildfire, igniting fierce debates. Some saw humans as an opportunity for much-needed genetic diversity. Others viewed Earth's reproductive methods as a threat to Vorta society. Yaris received new orders. Learn everything about human biology. The High Command now saw this knowledge as leverage in the ongoing trade talks. As Joshua scrambled to salvage the negotiations, a new threat loomed. The Krell, humanity's bitter rivals, had somehow learned of the Mars discovery. Their war fleets were already moving to seize the priceless artifact. Time was running out. Earth needed allies, technology, and a miracle. Joshua took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders as he prepared to face the Vorta delegation. The fate of his species rested on his diplomatic skills and humanity's unique biology. Little did he know, his earlier revelation would be the key to unlocking a future beyond imagination. Joshua's heart raced as he faced the Vorta delegation. The room buzzed with tension, a palpable energy that made the air feel thick and heavy. Yaris stood at the forefront, multifaceted eyes fixed on the human ambassador with an intensity that bordered on unsettling. "Ambassador Parker," Yaris began, voice steady but tinged with an undercurrent of excitement, "your revelation has sparked considerable interest among my people. We require more information about human biology." Joshua nodded, sensing an opportunity. "I understand. Perhaps we can come to an arrangement that benefits both our species." As he spoke, his communicator chirped again. A priority message from Earth Command scrolled across the screen. "Parker, critical situation. Sending Dr. Elena Kovacs and team to brief you on Mars artifact. Imperative you secure Vorta cooperation. Earth's future at stake." Joshua's mind raced, formulating a plan. He turned back to Yaris, his expression a mask of calm diplomacy. "Esteemed delegates, I propose an exchange. We will provide you with basic information about human biology in return for your cooperation in our trade agreement." Yaris conferred briefly with the other Vorta, their whispered discussion barely audible. After a moment that felt like an eternity, the alien diplomat faced Joshua once more. "We find these terms acceptable, Ambassador. When can we begin?" Before Joshua could respond, the chamber doors slid open with a soft hiss. Dr. Elena Kovacs strode in, her team of scientists trailing behind her. The xenobiologist's piercing gaze swept the room, taking in the assembled Vorta before settling on Joshua. "Ambassador Parker," she said, her voice crisp and authoritative. We need to talk. Immediately. Joshua excused himself from the Vorta delegation and pulled Dr. Kovacs aside. In hushed tones, she briefed him on the Mars artifact. It's unlike anything we've ever seen, Elena explained, her eyes alight with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The artifact requires a combination of male and female human reproductive cells to activate, but there's a catch. The process is dangerous. It could potentially alter human DNA in ways we can't predict. Joshua absorbed this information, his mind already connecting the dots between the artifact and the Vorta's newfound interest in human biology. He made a split-second decision. Dr. Kovacs, I'd like you to meet someone, he said, guiding her towards the Vorta delegation. This is Yaris, the lead diplomat for the Vorta. Elena's eyes widened as she took in Yaris's alien features. The Vorta, in turn, seemed equally fascinated by the human scientist. Dr. Kovacs, Yaris said, inclining their head in greeting. I understand you are an expert in xenobiology. Perhaps you can satisfy our curiosity about human reproductive methods? Elena glanced at Joshua, who gave a subtle nod. She launched into a concise explanation of human sexual dimorphism and reproduction. As she spoke, Yaris's expression morphed from curiosity to something akin to wonder. When Elena finished, Yaris was silent for a long moment. Then the Vorta diplomat made a proposal that left both humans stunned. In exchange for the trade agreement and our advanced manufacturing capabilities, Yaris said, we propose a joint research project on human reproduction. Our ultimate goal would be to incorporate aspects of human biology into our own species. Joshua and Elena exchanged shocked glances. The potential benefits of such an arrangement were enormous, but so were the ethical concerns. Joshua opened his mouth to request time for consultation when a frantic beeping erupted from multiple communicators in the room. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a star map of the solar system. Red dots representing Krell warships were rapidly approaching Earth. By the stars, Elena breathed, her face pale. They must have detected the artifact's energy signature. Joshua's mind raced, assessing their options. Earth's defenses were no match for the Krell's advanced technology. They needed allies, and fast. An idea formed in his mind, audacious, potentially disastrous, but possibly their only hope. He turned to face Yaris and Elena. I have a proposal, Joshua said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. A three-way alliance, humans, Vorta, and the Zenites. Elena's eyebrows shot up. The Zenites? But they've always remained neutral. Exactly, Joshua nodded, which is why the Krell won't expect their involvement. Vorta manufacturing, Zenite defenses, and human uniqueness. Together, we might stand a chance against the Krell. Yaris considered this for a moment, then asked, And how do you propose to seal this alliance, Ambassador Parker? Joshua took a deep breath, steeling himself for what he was about to suggest. Through me. And you, Yaris, will create a child together, a human Vorta hybrid, a living symbol of our new alliance. The room fell silent, the weight of Joshua's words hanging in the air. Elena was the first to speak, her scientific mind already racing with possibilities. It's risky, she said, but with advanced genetic engineering, it might be possible. Yaris's multifaceted eyes seemed to shimmer with an unreadable emotion. This is unprecedented. I will need to consult with the High Command. As Yaris stepped away to communicate with their superiors, Joshua turned to Elena. How quickly can you set up the necessary procedures? Elena ran a hand through her hair, her mind already cataloging the equipment and personnel she'd need. Give me 6 hours, but Joshua, are you sure about this? The physiological differences, the potential complications? Joshua's gaze drifted to the holographic display, where the Krell fleet crept ever closer to Earth. We don't have a choice. Earth's survival depends on this alliance. Yaris returned, their posture straight and formal. The High Command has agreed to your proposal, Ambassador. They are dispatching our fastest ships to intercept the Krell fleet and mobilizing our manufacturing bases. Joshua nodded, a mix of relief and apprehension washing over him. Then let's get started. Dr. Kovacs, prepare your team. Yaris, if you're ready, we have a lot of work to do. As they left the chamber, alarms began to sound throughout Nexus 7. The station was preparing for war, and at its heart, an unprecedented experiment in interspecies cooperation was about to begin. In the medical bay, Joshua and Yaris underwent the first round of genetic compatibility tests. Elena worked tirelessly, her team a flurry of activity around her. As she studied the results of the initial scans, a comm channel crackled to life. Nexus 7, this is Zenite emissary Zora, a melodious voice announced. We've received your proposal and are en route to discuss terms. Joshua exchanged glances with Elena and Yaris. The pieces were falling into place, but the real challenges were just beginning. As the first injections of genetic stabilizers were administered, Joshua couldn't help but wonder what kind of future they were creating for themselves, for Earth, and for the galaxy at large. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on Joshua's shoulders as he contemplated the unprecedented path they were about to embark upon. As if on cue, the medical bay doors slid open with a soft hiss. A tall, willowy figure glided into the room, radiating an otherworldly grace. Emissary Zora of the Zenites had arrived. Greetings, allies. Zora's melodious voice filled the space, her iridescent eyes taking in the scene before her. I trust we are not too late to join this most intriguing venture. Joshua straightened, pushing aside his fatigue. Emissary Zora, welcome to Nexus 7. Your timing is impeccable. He quickly made introductions, watching as Zora's gaze lingered on the medical equipment surrounding them. Her expression remained impassive, but Joshua sensed a hint of fascination beneath her serene exterior. We have much to discuss, Joshua said, gesturing towards the conference room adjacent to the medical bay. If you'll follow me, we can begin immediately. As they filed into the room, alarms blared throughout the station once more. Joshua's comm unit lit up with an urgent message from Earth Command. His face paled as he read the contents. The Krell fleet has increased speed, he announced, his voice tight. They'll reach Earth in a matter of days. The room fell silent, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on all present. Dr. Kovacs was the first to speak, her scientific mind already racing with possibilities. We need to accelerate our plans, she said, pulling up holographic displays of genetic sequences. I have a proposal, but it's risky. All eyes turned to Elena as she outlined her audacious plan. Using the Mars artifact in conjunction with hybrid embryos to create a defensive shield around Earth was beyond anything they had initially conceived. The room erupted into a flurry of questions and concerns. The ethical implications alone, Yaris began, but Joshua cut them off. We don't have the luxury of ethical debates right now, he said, his voice firm. Earth's survival is at stake. If Dr. Kovacs believes this is our best chance, we need to take it. Zora tilted her head, her iridescent eyes unblinking. The Zenites are prepared to contribute to this endeavor. Our defensive technologies, combined with Vorta manufacturing and human ingenuity, may indeed be the key to repelling the Krell threat. With a collective agreement, albeit a reluctant one from some parties, they set the plan into motion. Joshua found himself at the center of it all, providing the human genetic material for both hybrid embryos. The next few days passed in a blur of activity. Dr. Kovacs and her team worked tirelessly, their faces etched with exhaustion as they monitored the artificial wombs. Joshua split his time between the lab, coordinating with Earth's military, and overseeing the integration of Vorta and Zenite technologies. On the third day, alarms blared in the lab. Joshua rushed in to find Dr. Kovacs hunched over a console, her face pale. The artificial wombs are showing signs of instability, she reported, her fingers flying over the controls. The accelerated growth is putting immense strain on the systems. Joshua watched as the team scrambled to stabilize the hybrid fetuses, the weight of their entire plan hanging in the balance. Hours ticked by, each moment fraught with tension. Finally, Elena looked up, a weary smile on her face. We've managed to stabilize them, for now, but we're not out of the woods yet. As if the universe itself was determined to test their willpower, new challenges arose. Reports came in of dissent among the Vorta, concerns about genetic purity threatening to fracture their alliance. Simultaneously, a faction of Zenites began protesting the sharing of their defensive technologies. Joshua knew he had to act fast to keep their fragile coalition from crumbling. He called an emergency meeting with representatives from all three species. "I understand your concerns," he began, looking each delegate in the eye. "What we're doing here is unprecedented. It's natural to feel apprehensive, but we must look beyond our immediate fears." He outlined a proposal for a binding treaty, one that would not only address their current crisis, but also pave the way for a future of cooperation and mutual benefit. As the delegates debated the finer points of the treaty, Dr. Kovacs burst into the room, her eyes wide with excitement. "You need to see this," she said, pulling up a holographic display of the hybrid fetus's genetic structure. "The combination of our three species' DNA, it's producing some unexpected results." The room fell silent as Elena explained her findings. The unique genetic expressions in the hybrids could potentially enhance the Mars artifact's capabilities far beyond their initial projections. A spark of hope ignited in the room. For the first time since the Krell threat emerged, Joshua felt a glimmer of optimism. They had a real chance not just to survive, but to thrive. As the final hours before the Krell's arrival ticked away, Joshua found himself in the secure facility on Earth, watching as the hybrid fetuses were carefully connected to the Mars artifact. Dr. Kovacs stood at the control panel, her hand hovering over the activation switch. "Are we ready?" Joshua asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Elena nodded, her expression a mix of grit and apprehension. "As ready as we'll ever be." Joshua took a deep breath, acutely aware of the billions of lives hanging in the balance. He gave a single, decisive nod. "Do it." Dr. Kovacs pressed the switch, and the room was bathed in a soft, pulsating light. The artifact hummed to life, its energy intertwining with the unique genetic signatures of the hybrid fetuses. As the power built, Joshua could only hope that their unprecedented collaboration would be enough to save not just humanity, but their newfound allies as well. The air crackled with energy as the artifact's power surged, reaching out towards the atmosphere. On screens around the room, they watched as a shimmering barrier began to form around the planet. The true test, however, was yet to come. Come. The room held its breath as the artifact's energy intertwined with the hybrid fetuses, creating a symbiotic link that defied scientific explanation. Suddenly, the air crackled with an intense surge of power. The artifact pulsed with a blinding light, forcing Joshua and Dr. Kovacs to shield their eyes. When they looked again, they gasped in awe. A shimmering, translucent barrier was rapidly spreading across the facility's monitors, encasing the Earth in a protective cocoon visible from space. But the activation didn't stop there. "The energy readings are off the charts," Dr. Kovacs exclaimed, her fingers flying over the control panel. "The artifact is emitting some kind of signal into deep space." Joshua leaned in, studying the complex data streaming across the screens. "Can we decode it?" Elena shook her head. "Not yet. It's unlike anything we've seen before. But it contains genetic information and what looks like advanced technological data." Before Joshua could respond, an urgent communication came through. "Ambassador Parker, this is Fleet Admiral Chen. The Krell ships have suddenly halted their advance. They appear to be experiencing system-wide malfunctions." A spark of hope ignited in Joshua's chest. "It must be the artifact's signal. It's buying us time." Their moment of relief was short-lived. Alarms blared throughout the facility, drawing their attention back to the artificial wombs. "The fetuses," Dr. Kovacs gasped. "Their growth rate is accelerating beyond our projections. The wombs can't contain them." Joshua watched in astonishment as the hybrid beings rapidly developed, their forms swelling and changing before his eyes. Within minutes, they had reached the size of full-term infants. "We need to extract them now," Elena ordered, initiating emergency protocols. Heart pounding, Joshua stepped forward as the first artificial womb opened with a hiss of escaping gases. A tiny, glistening form emerged, a male with distinctly human features and iridescent Vorta skin. Moments later, a second infant appeared, a female with human characteristics in the bioluminescent patterns of the Zenites. As Joshua cradled the newborns, an overwhelming sense of protectiveness washed over him. These were his children, unprecedented beings born of an alliance that spanned the stars. "They're incredible," Dr. Kovacs breathed, running a scanner over the infants. "Their cognitive development is already far beyond that of a normal newborn. And look, the boy seems to be analyzing his surroundings, while the girl, I think she's responding to our emotions." The facility erupted into a flurry of activity as news of the birth spread. Joshua found himself at the center of a storm of reactions, awe, fear, excitement, and suspicion all swirling around him and the hybrid infants. Amidst the chaos, Joshua's comm unit chimed. It was Yaris, the Vorta ambassador. "The council demands to see the hybrid children," Yaris said, their voice tense. "There are concerns about their existence." Before Joshua could respond, another message came through from Zora, the Zenite emissary. "Ambassador Parker, we must discuss the implications of these births immediately. The signal from the artifact has raised alarms among my people." Joshua looked down at the infants in his arms, their eyes wide and alert, taking in the world around them with an intensity that belied their age. He knew that their very existence would challenge the foundations of the alliance he had worked so hard to build. "Dr. Kovacs," he said, his voice firm, "I need you to set up a secure area for the children. No one gets access without my direct approval." Elena nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. As she worked to secure the infants, Joshua turned his attention to the ongoing crisis. "Admiral Chen," he called over the comm, "what's the status of the Krell fleet?" "Still immobilized, Ambassador," Chen replied, "but we're detecting energy fluctuations. They could be attempting to counteract the artifact's effects. We need to decide our next move quickly." Joshua's mind raced, weighing their options. A preemptive strike could cripple the Krell fleet while they were vulnerable, but it might also provoke a more devastating retaliation if unsuccessful. "Hold position for now," Joshua ordered, "but be prepared to engage if they show signs of recovery." As he spoke, Joshua noticed movement from the corner of his eye. The hybrid infants, now secured in a modified medical pod, were displaying signs of increased awareness. The boy's eyes darted from screen to screen, seeming to absorb the tactical information displayed. The girl's bioluminescent patterns pulsed in sync with the emotional tension in the room. Dr. Kovacs approached, her face a mix of excitement and concern. "Joshua, you need to see this. The infants' brainwave patterns. They're responding to the crisis. It's as if they understand what's happening." Joshua studied the children, marveling at their rapid development. In the span of hours, they had grown from fetuses to infants with apparent cognitive abilities far beyond their physical age. A realization struck him. These children, his children, were more than just symbols of the alliance. They might be the key to their survival. "Dr. Kovacs, I need you to analyze every bit of data we have on the hybrids and the artifact's signal. There has to be a connection between their abilities and the effect on the Krell ships." As Elena set to work, Joshua turned his attention back to the impending diplomatic storm. He needed to address the concerns of the Vorta and Zenite representatives while also protecting the children from those who might seek to exploit them. With a deep breath, Joshua prepared to face the challenges ahead. The fate of Earth, the Alliance, and perhaps the entire galaxy now rested on the shoulders of two newborn infants and the unprecedented union they represented. The artifact continued its mysterious broadcast into space. The hybrid children grew and developed at an astonishing rate, and the immobilized Krell fleet loomed at the edge of the solar system. Joshua knew that the next few hours would be critical in shaping the future of interstellar relations, and he was at the heart of it all. The facility's alarms blared, cutting through the tense atmosphere. Joshua's eyes snapped to the main display, where a sea of red indicators signaled the reactivation of the Krell fleet. "They're moving again," Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the comm. "Estimate 30 minutes until they reach Earth's orbit." Joshua turned to Dr. Kovacs, who was bent over a console, her face illuminated by scrolling data. "Elena, what's the status of the children?" She looked up, her eyes wide with a mix of wonder and concern. "It's remarkable. Their development is exponential. Look." Joshua approached the secure medical pod, his breath catching in his throat. Where moments ago there had been infants, he now saw two toddlers, their eyes alert and filled with an intelligence that sent a shiver down his spine. The boy, his skin shimmering with iridescent Vorta patterns, reached out a small hand and touched the pod's control panel. Instantly, the facility's lights flickered, and screens around the room flashed with rapidly changing data. "Incredible," Dr. Kovacs whispered. "He's interfacing directly with our systems." The girl, her skin pulsing with soft bioluminescence, turned her gaze to Joshua. He felt a wave of emotion wash over him, not his own, but a complex blend of curiosity, drive, and love. "They need names," Joshua said softly, placing his hand against the pod. "Zephyr," he said, looking at the boy. "And Luna," he added, meeting the girl's intense gaze. A loud crash from the corridor outside snapped them back to the urgency of the moment. Joshua's comm unit crackled to life. "Ambassador Parker?" Yaris's voice was strained. "The Vorta Council has fractured. A rogue faction is attempting to seize control of the facility. They're coming for the artifact. And the children." Joshua's mind raced. "Elena, we need to move. Now! Prepare the children for transport." As Dr. Kovacs worked to disengage the medical pod, Joshua coordinated with the facility's security team. "Set up a defensive perimeter. We're evacuating to the backup site." The room erupted into a flurry of activity. Joshua helped Dr. Kovacs secure Zephyr and Luna in a portable stasis unit, marveling at how quickly they had grown. Their eyes, far too knowing for their apparent age, watched every movement intently. A violent tremor shook the facility, nearly knocking Joshua off his feet. Admiral Chen's voice came through, tight with tension. "The Krell have engaged our outer defenses. The shield is holding, but we're detecting massive energy spikes." On a nearby screen, Joshua watched as the shimmering barrier surrounding Earth fluctuated under the assault. To his astonishment, Zephyr reached out, his tiny fingers splaying across the stasis unit's transparent surface. The shield on the display stabilized, power rerouting to reinforce weak points. "He's helping," Dr. Kovacs said in awe. "Somehow he's interfacing with the entire defense grid." Luna's eyes were closed, her face scrunched in concentration. Joshua felt a subtle shift in the emotional atmosphere of the room, a sense of calm focus replacing the earlier panic. "Luna," he said softly, "what do you sense?" Her eyes opened, brimming with an otherworldly understanding. When she spoke, her voice was clear and articulate, belying her toddler appearance. "The Krell, they're afraid, Papa, not angry, desperate." Joshua's mind reeled at the implications. Before he could process this revelation, the facility rocked with another explosion, much closer this time. "We're out of time," he said, helping Dr. Kovacs seal the stasis unit. "We need to move." They rushed into the corridor, flanked by a security detail. The sounds of combat echoed from nearby sections of the facility. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with a group of Vorta, their weapons raised. "Stop!" the lead Vorta shouted. "Hand over the abominations!" Joshua stepped in front of the stasis unit, shielding his children. "They're not abominations. They're our best hope for survival." The standoff stretched for a tense moment. Then, to Joshua's shock, the Vorta's weapons lowered of their own accord. The attackers looked at their hands in confusion. Behind him, Luna's voice was soft but firm. "No fighting. We need to work together." The Vorta's expressions shifted from hostility to bewilderment. Joshua seized the opportunity. "We're evacuating to a secure location. You can either help us or stand aside." After a moment's hesitation, the lead Vorta nodded. We'll cover your retreat." As they continued their hurried journey through the facility, Joshua marveled at his children's abilities. Zephyr seemed to anticipate and override security measures before they became obstacles, while Luna's influence kept panic at bay among those they encountered. They reached the facility's hangar, where a sleek transport waited. As they boarded, another violent tremor shook the building. "The artifact!" Dr. Kovacs exclaimed, her eyes on a datapad. "The combined stress from the Krell attack and the power drain, it's becoming unstable." Joshua strapped himself in next to the stasis unit containing his children. Can you stabilize it remotely? Elena shook her head. Not from here. If it fails, Earth's shield will collapse. As the transport lifted off, Joshua looked at Zephyr and Luna. Their eyes met his, filled with a drive that matched his own. I know it's risky, he said softly, but we need your help. Zephyr placed his hand against the stasis unit's wall. Immediately, the transport systems came to life, displays showing a direct interface with the facility they'd left behind. Luna closed her eyes, her face a mask of concentration. The Krell, she murmured. I can almost reach them. As their ship streaked towards the backup facility, Joshua watched the displays with a mixture of hope and trepidation. Earth's fate, and perhaps that of the entire galaxy, now rested in the hands of two extraordinary children. His children. The Krell fleet loomed ever closer, the artifact's stability hung by a thread, and somewhere out there, a message of peace waited to be sent. Joshua took a deep breath, preparing himself for the challenges that lay ahead in their race against time. Time. Joshua gripped the edge of his seat, his mind racing as he processed the rapidly evolving situation. The transport's trajectory suddenly shifted, banking hard to the right. Change of plans, Joshua announced, his voice steady despite the tension. We're heading to the underground bunker in Sector 7. Dr. Kovacs looked at him, her eyes wide. The communication hub? But that's our best chance, Joshua finished. We need to decode that artifact signal, and fast. The transport streaked across the sky, weaving through the chaos of the ongoing battle. Through the view screen, Joshua could see the flickering dome of Earth's shield, straining under the relentless Krell assault. As they approached the hidden entrance to the bunker, Zephyr's hand pressed against the stasis unit's wall. The transport systems chirped in response, effortlessly interfacing with the bunker's cloaked defenses. The ground beneath them split open, revealing a cavernous hangar. The moment they touched down, Joshua and Dr. Kovacs rushed to disengage the stasis unit. As the seal hissed open, Joshua found himself face to face, not with toddlers, but with two preteens. Zephyr and Luna stepped out, their eyes sharp with an intelligence that belied their apparent age. This way, Joshua said, leading them deeper into the facility. They entered a vast chamber filled with banks of humming computers and holographic displays. A mixed team of human and Zenite scientists worked feverishly, their faces illuminated by scrolling data. Ambassador Parker, a Zenite scientist greeted them, her tendrils twitching with agitation. We've been expecting you. The artifact's signal... I know, Joshua nodded. Zephyr, can you help them? Without a word, Zephyr stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the central console. He placed his hand on the interface, and immediately the room came alive with activity. Displays flickered and changed, data streams coalescing into new patterns. Incredible, the Zenite scientist whispered. He's processing the data faster than our most advanced quantum systems. Luna, meanwhile, had closed her eyes, her face a mask of concentration. The Krell, she said softly. I can feel them. They're afraid, desperate. Joshua knelt beside her. What do you mean, Luna? Her eyes opened, filled with a wisdom far beyond her years. They're dying, Papa. Their entire species. That's why they're here. A tremor shook the bunker, dust falling from the ceiling. Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the comm system. Parker, the shield is failing. We need options now. Joshua looked at Zephyr, who was still interfaced with the system. Anything? Zephyr's eyes snapped open. The signal, he said, his voice filled with awe. It's not a weapon. It's genetic information, a key to save the Krell. The implications hit Joshua like a thunderbolt. He activated his comlink. Admiral, initiate a ceasefire. I'm taking a team to the Krell flagship. Are you insane? Chen's voice roared back. That's suicide. It's our only chance, Joshua insisted. Trust me. As Joshua coordinated with the military command, a new alarm blared through the bunker. Dr. Kovacs rushed to a security terminal. We've got incoming. The rogue Vorta faction found us. Joshua's mind raced. Zephyr, Luna, stay close. We need to... Before he could finish, Zephyr's eyes glazed over, his consciousness diving deep into the bunker's systems. Suddenly, a shimmering energy field sprang to life around the perimeter of the chamber. Outside, they could hear the sounds of battle as loyal Vorta and Zenite allies engaged the attackers. Luna stepped forward, her face set in commitment. She raised her hands, and Joshua felt a wave of something intangible sweep past him. Through the security feeds, he watched as confusion spread through the enemy ranks. Vorta turned on each other, their coordination crumbling. "We need to move," Joshua said, gathering his team. "Our shuttle is prepped and ready." As they raced back to the hangar, the Mars artifact emitted a massive energy pulse. The entire bunker shook, and for a moment, Joshua feared the worst. But as the tremors subsided, he noticed something extraordinary. Zephyr and Luna, who had been pre-teens moments ago, now appeared as full-fledged teenagers. Their eyes gleamed with newfound power and understanding. "The artifact," Zephyr said, his voice deeper than before. "It's stabilized Earth's shield, but there's more. I can feel it. I can control everything." Luna nodded, her gaze distant. "And I can reach them all, every mind, every heart, even the Krell." They boarded the shuttle, a sleek vessel designed for this very mission. As they launched, piercing through the flickering shield, Joshua felt the weight of history on his shoulders. "Approaching the Krell flagship," the pilot announced. Joshua looked at his children, marveling at their transformation. In their eyes, he saw not just the future of humanity, but the key to a new era of interstellar peace. As the shuttle docked with the massive Krell vessel, Joshua took a deep breath. "Ready?" he asked. Zephyr and Luna nodded, their faces set with tenacity. The airlock hissed open, revealing the alien interior of the Krell flagship. Joshua stepped forward, flanked by his extraordinary children, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in their quest to forge an unprecedented peace. Alliance as they stepped into the cavernous interior of the Krell flagship. Immediately, they found themselves surrounded by towering insectoid warriors, their chitinous exoskeletons gleaming under the ship's bioluminescent lighting. Joshua tensed, his hand instinctively moving to shield his children. But as he observed the Krell more closely, he noticed signs of physical deterioration, thinning carapaces, trembling limbs, and a sickly pallor to their compound eyes. Luna's earlier empathic reading was confirmed. These once mighty warriors were indeed desperate, clinging to the last threads of their species' existence. Drawing on years of diplomatic experience, Joshua stepped forward, his voice steady and clear. "We come in peace and with a proposition. We request an audience with your leadership." The Krell warriors exchanged rapid clicks and whistles, their antennae twitching as they communicated. After a tense moment, one of them gestured with a multi-jointed limb. "Follow." As they were escorted through winding bioorganic corridors, Zephyr's eyes darted from one alien system to another, his mind interfacing with the ship's technology. Luna walked with her eyes half closed, her consciousness brushing against the minds around them, sensing fear, hope, and a desperate longing for survival. The command center was a vast chamber, pulsing with life. At its center stood, or rather, hung, the Krell Hive Commander. The massive, multi-limbed entity was suspended in a web of translucent tubes and pulsating organic tech, its body clearly ravaged by the same affliction plaguing its species. Joshua stepped forward, his voice echoing in the chamber. "Hive Commander, I am Ambassador Joshua Parker of Earth. We've deciphered the signal from the Mars artifact, and we believe it contains the key to your species' survival." The Hive Commander's compound eyes flickered with interest. Its voice, when it spoke, was a symphony of clicks and whistles, translated by the ship's systems. "You claim to hold our salvation, human. Prove it." Zephyr, now resembling a young adult due to his accelerated growth, stepped forward. Without a word, he placed his hand on a nearby console. The ship's systems came alive, displays flickering as data streamed from Zephyr's mind. "This is the decoded genetic information from the artifact," Zephyr explained, his voice deeper than it had been mere hours ago. "It contains a complete map of Krell DNA, including corrections for the degradation your species is experiencing." Krell scientists swarmed the displays, their initial skepticism quickly giving way to excitement as they analyzed the data. Clicks and whistles filled the air as they conferred, their movements becoming more animated by the second. Luna closed her eyes, concentrating. A wave of calm and hope washed over the chamber, easing tensions and opening minds. The Krell's postures relaxed, their hostility melting into cautious optimism. "Your children," the Hive commander observed. "They are not fully human." "They are the future," Joshua replied. "A bridge between species, just as this alliance could be." Before the Hive commander could respond, Joshua's comm unit crackled to life. Admiral Chen's voice came through, tight with urgency. "Parker, we have a situation. The rogue Vorta faction has regrouped. They're launching a full-scale attack on the Mars artifact facility. Earth's shield is destabilizing." Joshua's mind raced, assessing the situation. He turned to the Hive commander, his expression grave. "Your fleet still surrounds Earth. We have a common enemy now and a common goal. I propose an immediate alliance, humans, cooperative Vorta, Zenites, and Krell, to repel this attack and secure both our futures." The Hive commander was silent for a long moment, its compound eyes flickering as it processed the proposal. Finally, it spoke. "We have come too far to perish now. We accept your alliance, Ambassador Parker." The command center erupted into action. Zephyr interfaced directly with the Krell systems, integrating their technology with Earth's defenses. Luna extended her empathic influence, coordinating the emotions of the Allied fleet and fostering an unprecedented level of cooperation between the diverse species. As the newly formed alliance mobilized, Joshua worked feverishly with the Krell leadership, drafting a historic peace treaty. The agreement outlined the sharing of the Mars artifact's genetic data and established a framework for future cooperation and cultural exchange. In Earth's orbit, the battle erupted in a dazzling display of advanced weaponry. Krell bioships moved in perfect sync with human cruisers, while Zenite energy weapons complemented Vorta plasma cannons. Zephyr's technological mastery proved invaluable, allowing him to counter the rogue Vorta's most devastating attacks and protect critical infrastructure. Amid the chaos of battle, Luna's face suddenly contorted in concentration. "Papa," she called out, her voice strained. "There's something else. The leader of the rogue Vorta, their mind feels wrong, twisted, like something else is pulling the strings." Joshua's blood ran cold at the implication. "An unknown player? Can you tell what it is?" Luna shook her head, frustration evident on her face. "It's alien, but different from anything we've encountered. Whatever it is, it's powerful and ancient." As the battle raged on, Joshua's mind whirled with the possibilities and implications of this new threat. He watched his children, now young adults, as they coordinated the defense of Earth with a skill and power he could never have imagined. A plan began to form in his mind. The key to lasting peace, to the survival of all species, lay in the continued development and integration of Zephyr and Luna's unique abilities. An interspecies council, with his children as key members, could be the foundation for a new era of cooperation, and the best defense against whatever unknown threats lurked in the depths of space. The Allied forces were gaining ground, pushing back the rogue Vorta attack. Earth's immediate safety seemed assured, but Joshua knew this was only the beginning. As he watched Zephyr and Luna work in perfect harmony with their new alien allies, he realized that their greatest challenges and the true test of their new interspecies alliance still lay ahead. The mystery of the force behind the rogue Vorta loomed large in Joshua's mind as he turned back to the Krell Hive commander. There was much work to be done, and the future of multiple civilizations hung in the balance. Balance. The future of multiple civilizations hung in the air as the Allied forces pushed back against the rogue Vorta attack. With Earth's immediate safety secured, Joshua, Zephyr, and Luna boarded a sleek biomechanical vessel, a fusion of human and Krell technology. As they departed the Krell flagship, the vastness of space seemed to shrink around them, the stars blurring into streaks of light. Their descent through Earth's atmosphere was a spectacle of crackling energy, remnants of the recent battle painting the sky in hues of electric blue and vibrant purple. The ship's viewports revealed a landscape transformed, familiar continents now outlined by the ethereal glow of residual energy fields. As they touched down on a specially prepared landing pad, Joshua felt a surge of emotion. The sight of Earth, battered but unbroken, filled him with a complex mix of relief, pride, and trepidation for the challenges that lay ahead. The ship's doors hissed open, revealing a delegation that embodied the new alliance. Humans stood shoulder to shoulder with Vorta, their once adversarial relationship now marked by cautious optimism. Zenites, their energy forms pulsing with almost unchecked excitement, hovered near stoic Krell warriors. But it was the figure that broke from the group and rushed forward that caught Joshua's attention. Dr. Elena Kovacs, her lab coat fluttering behind her, embraced him with surprising strength. "Joshua," she said, her voice thick with emotion, "you did it. You actually did it." Before he could respond, Elena turned to Zephyr and Luna. Her eyes widened as she took in their accelerated maturation, but she recovered quickly, enveloping them in a hug as well. "We've had a breakthrough," Elena said, her words tumbling out in a rush of excitement. "Using the Mars artifact data and genetic samples from Zephyr and Luna, we've developed a treatment. We believe it can stabilize the Krell's genetic degradation." Joshua's heart leapt at the news. He turned to the Krell representatives, their compound eyes reflecting a glimmer of hope that hadn't been there before. "Let's move quickly," Joshua said, gesturing towards a nearby facility. "We need to begin administering the treatment to Krell volunteers immediately." As they made their way across the landing pad, Joshua couldn't help but marvel at the sight of his children. Zephyr moved with a fluid grace, his eyes constantly flickering as he processed vast amounts of data from the surrounding technology. Luna walked with quiet confidence, her presence seeming to calm the tensions of those around her. They had just reached the entrance of the secure facility when a deafening alarm cut through the air. Zephyr's eyes glowed an intense blue, his consciousness diving deep into Earth's defense grid. "Massive energy surge detected," he announced, his voice carrying an otherworldly resonance. "Source, Earth's moon. There's a hidden base cloaked by technology beyond anything we've encountered." Before anyone could react, Luna let out a piercing cry. Her eyes rolled back, her body going limp as Joshua rushed to catch her. "Luna," he cried, cradling her head. "What's wrong?" Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused and distant. "So much power," she whispered. "A presence. Ancient. Angry." Zephyr's expression hardened as he processed the information flooding his enhanced mind. "It's them," he said, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "The architects, an ancient species that seeded life throughout the galaxy. They've been manipulating events, pushing us towards conflict." As if in response to Zephyr's revelation, a blinding beam of energy shot from the moon's surface, striking the Mars artifact with pinpoint precision. The artifact, housed in a secure facility on Earth, began to pulse with an otherworldly light. Waves of genetic information radiated outward, washing over the planet and the assembled alien fleets in orbit. Joshua's mind raced, quickly assessing the situation. He turned to Dr. Kovacs, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. "Elena, we need to accelerate the Krell treatment. Get your team working at full capacity." She nodded, already moving towards the facility's entrance. Joshua then addressed the assembled representatives of the Alliance. "We need to coordinate our response. This is a threat to all of us." As the various species mobilized, Joshua felt a presence at his side. Zephyr and Luna stood there, their accelerated growth now complete. They were adults, their eyes shining with power and purpose. "We're with you, Dad," Zephyr said, his hand resting on Joshua's shoulder. Luna nodded, her empathic abilities already reaching out to calm and focus the minds of those around them. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." Joshua looked at his children, marveling at their transformation and the strength they exuded. He then turned his gaze to the sky, where the moon glowed with an unnatural light. The true test of their newfound alliance was about to begin, and the fate of not just Earth, but all sentient life in the galaxy, hung in the balance. As Joshua prepared to address the Allied fleet, he couldn't shake the feeling that this confrontation with the architects would redefine the very nature of their existence. The future of multiple civilizations now rested on their ability to stand united against this ancient and powerful force.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.